Narrator. Hello and a very focused welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. Cast your mind back to your last meeting. Was it a vibrant exchange of ideas, leading to clear decisions and tangible progress? Or was it a meandering discussion that felt like a drain on time and energy, leaving you wondering about its purpose? In today's dynamic professional landscape, meetings are a ubiquitous fixture, yet their effectiveness remains a perennial challenge. Too often they devolve into sprawling conversations, dominated by a few, while others disengage, silently counting the minutes. But what if we could transform these often dreaded gatherings into powerful engines of productivity and collaboration? What if every meeting you led or attended left participants feeling invigorated, informed, and truly aligned? Today we're not just lamenting the state of meetings. We're going to dissect the art and science of leading them with precision and purpose. Prepare for an insightful and highly actionable conversation between Zara, an experienced team lead renowned for her engaging sessions, and Leo, a project manager eager to refine his facilitation skills. Their dialogue will not only enrich your English comprehension and vocabulary related to corporate communication but also equip you with essential strategies to plan, facilitate, and conclude meetings that genuinely drive results and foster a culture of efficiency. So, grab your notepad, tune in attentively, and let's unlock the secrets to turning meeting madness into collaborative magic. Zara, Leo, it's great to chat with you. I know you've been working on enhancing your team's productivity, and leading effective meetings often surfaces as a key area. What are some of your primary frustrations or challenges when it comes to meetings, both as a participant and a leader? Leo, Zara, thanks for this. My biggest frustration, hands down, is the perceived waste of time. I've sat through countless meetings that felt like they had no clear objective, dragged on endlessly, or veered wildly off topic. As a leader, my challenge is ensuring engagement and actually getting tangible outcomes, not just discussion. How do you approach the initial planning phase to avoid these common pitfalls? Zara, that's precisely where the battle is won or lost, Leo, in the planning. My mantra is, no meeting without a clear purpose. Before I even think about sending an invite, I ask myself, what is the single most important outcome I want from this meeting? Is it a decision? Information sharing? Brainstorming? Problem solving? Once that purpose is crystal clear, everything else flows from it. Next, I define precise, actionable objectives that support that purpose. Each objective should be a measurable result. For instance, instead of discuss project status, it's agree on project's critical path for Q3, or identify 3 potential roadblocks. This immediately shapes the agenda. What's your current approach to setting objectives? Leo, I try to set objectives, but sometimes they're a bit broad, like review Q2 performance. I can see how making them more granular and outcome-oriented would tighten things up. What about the attendee list? How do you decide who absolutely needs to be there versus who can receive an update later? That's another area where meetings bloat. Zara, the attendee list, another critical lever for efficiency. My rule of thumb is, invite only those who are essential for decision-making, direct contribution to the objectives, or those whose significant input is absolutely required to move forward. Everyone else can be informed via notes or a summary. Over-inviting diffuses responsibility, slows down discussion, and wastes people's valuable time. Sometimes it's beneficial to have a core group for the main discussion and then bring in advisors or information providers for specific agenda points, allowing them to leave once their input is given. Do you find it difficult to be selective with invitations without causing offense? Leo, can be yes. There's sometimes a political element or a fear of excluding someone who might have a minor piece of input. But I appreciate the clarity on essential. Once the purpose, objectives, and attendees are set, how meticulously do you plan the agenda? And what elements are non-negotiable for you? Zara, my agenda is the backbone of the meeting. It's meticulously planned but remains a living document. Non-negotiable elements include a clear statement of the meeting's overall purpose, specific time-bound topics, each with an assigned facilitator if rotating roles, a desired outcome for each agenda item, and designated time for decisions and next steps. I also always include an initial check-in and a final checkout to gauge engagement and ensure clarity on actions. And critically, I distribute the agenda well in advance, at least 24 hours, along with any pre-reading materials, making it clear that attendees are expected to come prepared. Do you often include pre-reading, and do people actually read it? Leo laughs. The pre-reading dilemma. I include it, but compliance can be hit or miss, which then derails discussions as people catch up. How do you enforce or encourage pre-reading without alienating attendees? And what's your strategy for starting the meeting strong to set the right tone? Sarah, you're right, it's a common challenge. To encourage pre-reading, I do two things. First, I make the pre-reading concise and directly relevant, not a novel. Second, I explicitly state at the beginning of the meeting that we will not be rehashing information covered in the pre-read. Instead, we'll dive straight into discussion or decision-making based on that shared understanding. This puts the onus on attendees. For starting strong, I always begin on time, always. I then briefly restate the meeting's purpose and objectives, remind everyone of the agenda, and immediately establish ground rules for participation, like respectful listening, staying on topic, and equitable airtime. This upfront clarity sets expectations and minimizes derailment. How do you typically handle latecomers or early tangents? Leo, latecomers are awkward, I usually just let them slip in. Tangents are tough to rein in without seeming rude. Your ground rules approach sounds effective. Once the meeting is underway, how do you actively facilitate to ensure everyone contributes, decisions are made, and time is managed efficiently? That's where I often feel stretched. Zara, facilitation is indeed an art. To ensure participation, I actively call on individuals, especially those who tend to be quieter, with targeted questions like, Ben, given your expertise in X, what are your thoughts on this proposal? Or, Sarah, from a marketing perspective, what challenges do you foresee? I also use tools like round-robin sharing or a quick poll if there are too many voices. For decision-making, I make it explicit. We need a clear decision on why by the end of this item. What options are we considering? I summarize discussions frequently and propose straw polls to gauge consensus. And for time management, I keep a visible timer, and if we're running over on an item, I'll say, we have 2 minutes left for this point. Do we have enough information for a decision, or do we need to table it for a follow-up? It's about being firm but fair. What methods do you use to keep discussions focused? Leo, I try to gently redirect, but sometimes it feels like I'm playing whack-a-mole with tangents. The explicit decision-making language and visible timer are brilliant. I'll definitely incorporate those. What about dealing with dominant personalities who tend to monopolize the conversation? They can often stifle other voices. Zara, dominant personalities require skillful handling. My approach is to acknowledge their input briefly, then pivot to invite others. For example, thank you, John, for that extensive perspective. Now let's hear from Maria, who hasn't had a chance to speak yet. Or, John, I appreciate your detailed comments. Perhaps we can continue that specific aspect offline after the meeting if needed. For now, let's ensure everyone has a chance to contribute to this core point. Sometimes setting a time limit for individual contributions at the outset can help. It's about maintaining decorum and ensuring balanced participation without shutting anyone down entirely. How do you handle a meeting that starts to become emotionally charged or tense? Leo, that's a tough one. My inclination is usually to try and smooth things over quickly, but it often feels superficial. Emotional tension can definitely derail productivity. How do you navigate that without ignoring the underlying issues? Zara, it's crucial not to ignore it as unresolved tension festers. My strategy for emotionally charged situations is to first acknowledge the emotion. I sense some frustration here, and it's understandable given the stakes. This validates feelings. Then I try to reframe the discussion back to facts and objectives. Let's focus on the data/process and how we can move forward collaboratively. I might suggest a short break if emotions are running high, or propose taking a contentious point offline with relevant parties to avoid derailing the entire meeting. If necessary, I remind everyone of the shared purpose and the professionalism expected. It's about de-escalating while still addressing the core concerns. Leo, acknowledging the emotion first makes so much sense. It feels more human. What about virtual meetings? They come with their own unique set of challenges like technical glitches, people multitasking, or difficulty reading body language. How do you lead effectively in a remote or hybrid environment? Zara, virtual meetings demand even more deliberate facilitation. I often use video conferencing features like virtual whiteboards for brainstorming, polls for quick consensus, and breakout rooms for smaller group discussions. I frequently pause to check for understanding. Any questions so far? Or, let's do a quick thumbs up if we're aligned on this. Encouraging everyone to turn on their cameras if feasible helps with engagement and reading cues. I also assign clear roles, a timekeeper, a note-taker, to ensure smooth operation. And crucially, I build in short breaks for longer virtual sessions to combat screen fatigue. It's about compensating for the lack of physical presence with enhanced digital tools and intentional interaction. Leo, that's really helpful. I definitely struggle with engagement in virtual settings. So once a meeting concludes, what are the non-negotiable steps to ensure decisions stick and action items are followed through? That's another common breakdown point. Zara, the post-meeting follow-up is as critical as the pre-meeting planning. My non-negotiables are immediate distribution of clear, concise meeting minutes, ideally within 24 hours. These minutes must summarize key discussions, list all decisions made, and most importantly, detail specific action items with assigned owners and realistic deadlines. I often follow up individually with action item owners before the next meeting to ensure progress. And crucially, the next meeting's agenda starts with a review of action items from the previous one. This creates accountability and ensures continuity. What's your current system for capturing and tracking actions? Leo, mine's a bit informal, often just notes in an email. I can see how formalizing the action item tracking and reviewing them at the start of the next meeting would create immense accountability. It's about closing the loop, isn't it? Zara, exactly, Leo, closing the loop is paramount. It signals that the discussions and decisions made in the meeting actually matter and will be acted upon. It builds credibility for you as a leader and fosters a culture of accountability within the team. Furthermore, after every significant meeting, I conduct a brief mental postmortem for myself. What went well? What could have been improved? Was the objective met? This continuous self-reflection helps refine my facilitation skills over time. Leo, that's a great habit to adopt, continuous improvement. I tend to just move on to the next task. This conversation has been incredibly insightful, Zara. You've provided such a clear, actionable framework not just for running meetings, but for leading them effectively, ensuring they add value rather than detract from it. Zara, my pleasure, Leo. Remember, a well-led meeting isn't just about efficiency. It's about fostering collaboration, empowering voices, and truly leveraging the collective intelligence of the team. It's a powerful leadership skill. Narrator, what a masterclass in meeting efficacy from Zara and Leo. They navigated the challenging terrain of meeting planning, facilitation, and follow-up, transforming it from a potential time sink into a strategic asset. From meticulous agenda setting and disciplined time management to fostering inclusive participation and ensuring robust accountability, their conversation provided a comprehensive toolkit for leading gatherings that truly make a difference. Their insights underline that effective meetings are a cornerstone of organizational success and a hallmark of strong leadership. Now, let's briefly engage with some key ideas from their discussion. Practice session 1. Meeting purpose. Zara emphasizes having a clear purpose for every meeting. Before scheduling your next hypothetical meeting, what specific purpose would you define for it? 2. Attendee selection. What is Zara's key guideline for deciding who needs to attend a meeting? 3. Active facilitation. To ensure engagement, Zara suggests calling on quieter individuals. What is one specific phrase or question you could use to invite participation from a less vocal attendee? 4. Post-meeting action. What are the 3 non-negotiable elements Zara includes in her post-meeting follow-up to ensure decisions stick? Narrator. As Zara and Leo so thoroughly demonstrated, leading effective meetings is not an innate talent, but a cultivable skill that profoundly impacts productivity, morale, and organizational momentum. It demands thoughtful preparation, dynamic facilitation, and diligent follow-through, transforming what can often be a source of frustration into a powerful platform for progress. By embracing these strategies, you empower not just yourself but your entire team, creating environments where ideas flourish, decisions are forged, and collective objectives are consistently achieved. Remember, every meeting is an opportunity to lead, connect, and move forward. Until our next illuminating discussion on the English Learning Podcast, go forth and lead with clarity and impact.